man who was involved in a drive-by shooting and then fled to Pakistan has been jailed for 30 years. Usman Khan drove a stolen Toyota into position for an accomplice to blast the driver of the Volkswagen Golf with a Skorpion submachine gun in Saltley in April last year. The pair fled the scene on Shore Hill Road and met another man to dispose of the firearm. Then met Amaan Ajaz, who picked them up in a Seat and drove them around, helping them dispose of further evidence. Following the trial, Khan, who's only 22 years old, was found guilty of attempted murder, while he had also pleaded guilty to counts of being concerned in the supply of Class A drugs. At Birmingham Crown Court today, he was sentenced to 30 years, of which he will have to serve 2/3 in custody before being eligible for release. Ajaz, who's 20, was found guilty of assisting an offender and sentenced to 4 years and 6 months, of which he will serve half behind bars before release. The man, identified as being the shooter, also fled to Pakistan with Khan, but has yet to be detained. The shooting took place on the evening of Sunday, April the 30th last year. The Volkswagen Golf targeted had been fitted with an illicit tracker. It is not known whether the victim of the shooting, who was behind the wheel, was in fact the intended target or what the motive of the attack was. Khan and his accomplice wore masks as they pulled up alongside the Toyota, which had been stolen from an address earlier that month by unknown thieves. It had also been fitted with false plates. The shooter fired 9 bullets from the Skorpion, 2 of which hit the victim in the leg and abdomen. One of them remained in his body near his ribs, as it has been deemed too risky to remove. The victim managed to drive himself to Heartlands Hospital, where the blue Golf could be seen riddled with bullets. In a statement, he said he believed he was going to die that day, as thoughts of not returning to his family rushed through his head. The victim described the devastating impact of the shooting, which included him losing his job and piling added financial pressure on his missus. He detailed how the incident was left him with ongoing pain in his leg and stomach, as well as affected his mental health. He said, "As much as I want to move on from the incident, knowing one of the bullets is still inside me is a constant reminder of the traumatic events of that night." After the shooting, Khan and his accomplice met another male to offload the gun and the discarded Toyota in Borsley Green before walking to where Ajaz was waiting in his Seat. The pair involved in the drive-by shooting flew to Pakistan on May the 10th last year, only for Khan to be arrested at Birmingham Airport upon his return a few months later. Back in October 2020, police had raided his address and recovered mobile phones, which showed he was involved in street-level dealing of coke and heroin that year. Roderick Johnson KC defendants told the court Khan had experienced difficulties in his childhood and had been involved in dealing drugs from the age of 15. He added, "He is private, reserved, unexpressive, and has a tendency to understate things. It is strange such a person should have lent himself to this wicked enterprise." In mitigation for Ajaz, his solicitor said his involvement had a devastating effect on his family, and he told the court his client had hoped to follow the footsteps of other siblings who have pursued very professional careers. The barrister added that Ajaz had become an enhanced prisoner in custody and intends to go to university when he's released. Judge Andrew Smith, passing sentence, said this was a determined, organised and carefully planned shooting with intent to kill. He added it was more by luck than judgment that the victim was not killed or more seriously injured. Absolute madness, guys. A representative from West Midlands Police said this was a brazen attempt on a man's life which could easily have led to his death. Thanks to the hard work of all the officers involved, we were able to identify, locate and arrest Khan and Ajaz. Firearms have no place in our streets, and we are committed to tracking down and arresting those who would use them to commit crimes. And another spokesperson for West Midlands Police said, "We continue to take drugs, guns and serious criminals off the streets under our force-wide crackdown on organised crime operation Target, and in 2023 we recovered more than 130 firearms from the West Midlands, which is up from 121 the previous year, while the number of firearms discharged also fell." And in this next news story, 2 young drug dealers, one of them a homeless man, was caught red-handed with stashes of Class A because they wanted to make a quick buck, and selling them on the streets was a no-brainer. But they were not criminally naive when they got involved in the seedy trade, and they knew precisely what they were doing when they began their drug dealing activities, Hull Crown Court heard. Kieran MacDonald and James Scott admitting possessing heroin and coke with the intent to supply on February the 15th. MacDonald originally denied the offences, but he later changed his pleas. The prosecutor said that police in West Hull spotted a known drug user and another person. Scott approached, and a conversation took place between the three men. He walked with the two other men to the rear of a building, and he exchanged something with both men. One of the customers hid the purchase in his mouth, and Scott put money in his pocket before going to a different road. Scott and MacDonald were seen later with another known drug user, but they disappeared out of view. About 55 minutes later, police went to a flat, and both men were inside. Stashes of coke, including more than 100 packages as well as 24 packages of heroin, were found. The total weight of the coke was 7 grams, and the total weight of heroin was 2 grams. The values of the drugs were unknown. 2 machetes were found in the flat, but they had not been specifically linked to either MacDonald or Scott. Phones were seized and messages about drug dealing as well as videos of drugs and machetes were found on MacDonald's phone. Nothing was found on Scott's phone, but 2 grinders and 2 phones were found at his home, and nothing significant was found on the phone. MacDonald later told police that he was homeless at the time. He claimed that he was not involved in drug supply and that he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Scott, however, made no comment during a police interview. MacDonald is believed to have 17 previous offences between 2018 and 2021. Got robbery, burglary, wounding, witness intimidation and breaching criminal behaviour order, but none for drugs. And Scott had convictions for driving offences. In mitigation, MacDonald's solicitor claimed that he was acting under direction from others. He was found with no cash on him. They was only there for 24 hours. They were in it together, but they were not by any stretch of it in charge of the operation. They were not making millions of pounds from it. He got himself involved in this. He doesn't seek to hide behind what he's done. He wanted to make a quick buck out of it. He was at the bottom of the ladder of the chain. He just wanted to make some quick cash. The representative for Scott said he was involved, though an element of naivety, and it was his first conviction of drugs and his first as an adult. He'd been homeless and living from pillar to post after a chaotic upbringing. It's clear that he had no influence over those above him in the chain. All he wanted to do was make a little bit of pocket change. So MacDonald was sentenced to Young Institute for 3 years and Scott was jailed for 2.5 years. So guys, there's a number of stories coming out from the streets of the UK. Once again, if you already haven't done so, please subscribe to the channel, give this video a little like, share it with others, and also drop a comment and I'll respond back to you. Once again, big respect going out to each and every one of you. It's your boy GC. Keep it locked, keep it real.